Now here's a game I definitely remember being advertised on TV, particularly the ad that had the song that was like, "I'm a real wild boy." Yeah. That's the one I remember the most. As a kid, I would prefer to watch Nickelodeon, and that's where I would see the ads to this game, which makes sense since Nick had put money into making it. Personally, I found it kinda odd but neat that they would want to make their own video game that wasn't based off of any pre-existing show. At least, at the time there wasn't a show that sucked. Though it wouldn't be until I was much older that I would play the game for the first time. And I remember enjoying some elements, but also getting annoyed in some chicken temple. After having played the game again recently, let's see what I think of it today. Allow me to introduce you to the Pupanunu people, a village of peaceful individuals who worship spiritual creatures called Jujus, who have quite the influence on their world, with the greatest Juju being the Moon Juju, who acts like a Mother Nature-like goddess to the Pupanunu. This information is given to the player from the Pupanunu's high shaman, Jabolba, who also tells us about an embittered shaman named Talak. I think that's how you pronounce it. The reason he is so upset was that he was rejected as the Pupanunu high shaman over Jabolba. So, as an act of revenge, Talak steals some of the Moon Juju's power to weaken her and turn almost all the villagers into sheep. Apparently, there is some prophecy that foretold such events, and in it, there is a mention of a great warrior who will save the Pupanunu people and the Moon Juju. Jabolba has been training such a warrior named La, but unfortunately, he's been turned into a sheep as well. So, instead, Jabolba's assistant Tak must restore Locke to his human form so that he can save the village. I, for one, actually enjoy this setup. First off, I really like this world. There's something about villagers worshipping spiritual creatures that manages to get my attention, and it's neat seeing all the different Juju. Second, the game doesn't take itself too seriously, willing to break the fourth wall, and make quite a few jokes. Though there are a few annoying fart and poop jokes, those just aren't my thing. Third, I find the characters to be entertaining. Jabolba's a likable elder shaman who's wise about the Juju, but a bit incompetent. Tak is a good lead as he does a lot to save his people and doesn't complain about it. And again, there are some fun Juju to meet. So yeah, it's a nice, simple setup for an entertaining adventure. It's nothing that will blow your mind away, but it gets the job done, and I certainly had some fun with it. So, as you can imagine, Tak and the Power of Juju is a 3D platformer collectathon. You will be, of course, playing as Tak, who starts off in the Pupanunu village, which acts as the game's hub world. It's an alright area. Here, you are introduced to some of the basics to the gameplay. Unfortunately, there isn't much to interact with, and the layout of the village can get a bit confusing at first, so it takes some time to get more familiar with the location. Thankfully, there are signs placed throughout the village that help point to you where each level is at. These signs will even show up in certain levels to help you locate specific items in the area, such as Nubu plants. So yeah, the hub world connects to the main levels. I say main because a few of these levels have extra areas that act as their own separate levels within them. For example, the first level is a burial ground that will lead you to a tomb area once you have completed specific tasks. The main levels themselves are more open and reward you well for exploration, as there is often some sort of collectible lying around. I should say real quick that the game's progression is pretty simple. Basically, you're given a task that you need to complete, such as collecting 3 special stones found in 3 different levels. You just complete that task and then you're given a next one after that. The part that I like about some of these tasks though, is that a few of them give you a bit more options to deal with. For example, early on you need 6 special plants, but it turns out there's actually 9, 3 of them hidden in 3 different levels. So it's up to you on which plants you want to go for in which levels, which is just a little extra freedom I like when it comes to collectathons. By pausing the game, you can see what objectives you have to complete in each level, and what the main objective is currently that you're needing to do to progress the game, which is very nice. This helps let completionists know what's left to do in a level, and helps those who just want to focus on getting through the game. The extra areas in the main levels, like the spirit world or temples, are often more linear, which helps keep you focused on the main goal there. And these areas also have more challenging platforming. There are some obstacles to get past, like rams where you may have to use some fruit, or a sheep to distract them. You may need to agitate agitate a monkey to hit an orangutan, smack some sheep to activate lifts, and even ride a rhino to break through some walls. These little moments mixed with the game's platforming helps keep me more engaged, and to do some problem solving to open up areas or get past certain sections. It helps add some variety to the gameplay without completely changing the core mechanics. Though I will say having to use these chickens to activate timed switches for doors at the chicken temple did get annoying with how long it took me and just how tedious it can get to navigate these chickens onto the buttons without getting caught by the guards. From what I have played, there are only a few levels that really change things up, such as using a chicken suit to navigate past a specific spot in a level, and a couple of the levels are these snowboarding-like sections. Honestly, I found the boarding to just be okay. It controls fine, the levels aren't too long, and will reward you for knowing the proper layout of going downhill via using jumps and grinding to get to the best spots and hard-to-reach collectibles. I just don't find the controls to be as tight as the skateboarding in Spyro 3. It's just okay, and not something I bothered with much, as I preferred the main platforming more. That's not to say Tak controls perfectly. Some jumps can be a bit awkward with how momentum works in this game. Combat isn't all that great. At least it's very simplistic, but the hitboxes can be a bit weird at times, and some enemies take too many hits. You are given better weapons as the game progresses, like a special rattle and this blowpipe that can also help you pole vault across large gaps, and I actually enjoyed this quite a bit. Tak's health is indicated by a feather on his head. If he's healthy, it will be yellow, but as he gets hurt, it turns purple. I really like this, as even though it's not a perfect indicator of health, it's still a unique and effective way to convey information to the player without a HUD, even though there still is a HUD. Since there are no lives in this game, worrying about your health isn't that big of a deal in the first place. There are a few interesting collectibles in this game, such as tikis, which are used to summon Jujus at special locations, and these will often open up extra areas you're going to need to visit to complete the game. Then we have Juju powers, which look like these purple tokens. These will give Tak some useful skills, like a compass to point out where yarbles are, help heal you with restoration, or give you a new attack. These skills can easily be switched between since you can only have one activated at a time and are used with the circle button. I say this because it took me a while to figure that out. But these powers will consume magic. You can stock up on magic by collecting feathers, and they are found just about everywhere lying around in the level or in pot or even from killed enemies. Boss fights are okay. They're usually a special kind of challenge like fleeing explosive eggs or inflating someone's head. Never too difficult, but not the most memorable things either. I haven't completed this game because unfortunately I ran into a glitch on my last playthrough. I got most of the mountaintop level completed and decided to save the game and end my session there, since you can save whenever you want, which is really nice. But when I came back, the game would freeze after only taking a few steps in the level. I managed to get back to the village and can play the other levels just fine, but the game freezes every time I enter Mountaintop. It's a shame because I don't know what caused this to happen, so other people don't run into it. I guess just get through Mountaintop in one go and end your session at the village. So when it comes to the art style of the game, I'm a bit mixed. I like some of the Juju designs, especially the ones who look more demonic or otherworldly, while the more kind of ogre-looking Jujus I find to be boring. I also like the design of the humans, such as Tak. They're cartoony, but also have a very distinct style for this game. Though the enemies, like Nurbles, have some very uninteresting designs that feel like generic discount gremlin-like creatures. I do enjoy seeing different animals in the world, like orangutans and rhinos. The environments look really nice, with lush forests, ancient-looking temples, and even some arid deserts and a village where people worship chickens. There are a few issues though, like how the frame rate will noticeably drop from time to time, and there are some stiff animations as well, like when hitting an enemy. Voice acting is pretty solid as well, with talent like Jason Marsden, Jean Kaiser, or Kesser, damn it, I don't know. And of course Patrick Warburton, all give natural sounding voices to their characters. Thankfully though, the game has some great music, some of it being more tribal in the forests and temple areas. There are a few rock-like tunes when fighting certain enemies, and even some more haunting themes for some tombs you visit. It's a soundtrack I enjoy and would recommend giving a listen, especially to tunes like Numa Dunes, Naboo Plant Battle, and Tree Village. So, would I recommend Tak and the Power of Juju? Yeah, I kinda would, mostly if you yourself are into 3D collectathon platformers. Now, don't go into this game thinking it's something amazing, but there is some solid level design, nice environments to explore, and collecting things in this game feels good, with a well-paced sense of progression, and it's not too long either. The frame rate isn't the best. I wish there wasn't that glitch that caused my playthrough to end due to screen freezing, and a few sections can get rather annoying and tedious, but I had a fun time with the game and I think there was a lot of potential for the series. I haven't played too much of the second game, but it definitely seems like a more linear level by level platformer, which is fine, but I wasn't getting very into the levels for the first few hours. Its layouts just felt super simplistic and I wasn't having that much fun. Maybe if I hear enough good things about the other games for the PlayStation 2, I'll look into those, but in the meantime, I'm gonna stick with the first game. It's a charming, well put together platformer that really managed to pull me into its world. We're not done with Nickelodeon yet, however, as next time we'll be taking a look at a licensed game that a lot of people seem to like, so I'll see you all then.